This episode of JJ Meets World is brought to you by Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty. Natalie has a proven track record to get your home sold faster and for more money. She is consistently focused on her clients' needs and wants throughout the entire process and make sure that they are well taken care of. If you're looking to buy or sell, reach out to Natalie today. On average, Natalie sells a home every 3.74 days. That's at least 2 a week. And last year, Natalie earned her clients on average over $4,000 above list price on their homes. And you don't have to take our word for it. Here's some of the great reviews Natalie has received. I was overwhelmingly impressed with Natalie and all the Hatch team. She was very responsive and responded to all of the emails within an hour. She gave great advice and encouragement from the listing and pictures, the offer, and all the closing details. The marketing team knew exactly how to promote my property, and I was pleased by how soon and easily my property received an offer. I was actually dreading selling my condo, and Natalie did such an awesome job that I felt like I really didn't need to do anything. The thing I most appreciated was that she really listened to what I wanted to do and respected my decisions. I would definitely recommend Natalie and all the Hatch Realty team. They made this process so wonderful. That was from Diane. So listen, if you're in the mood to buy or sell a home, give Natalie a call right now. You can reach her at 701-388-9338. Natalie, Natalie, at hatchrealtyfm.com, or you can go to livefargomorehead.com. That's livefargomorehead.com and find out some information. Huge thanks to Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty for sponsoring JJ Meets World.
1, 2, 3, 4. JJ Gordon, sort of like that Indiana Jones, in that he's always sniffing out his next adventure. Yes, he is. He's always interviewing guests so he can have them on his show and they can talk about pop culture, arts, and leisure. JJ has his flag unfurled and he likes his french fries curled, and he's fun and then he twirls as he goes to meet the world. He will march into the rain even if his ankle sprain. Take a peek inside his brain. This podcast is called JJ Meets World.
I don't know about the other people who are here, but I am the king in my household of doing things to 95% completion. I've got a bathroom right now that previous guest Phil Goodell helped me in March of 2015 start. And that remodel is still going right now. My poor wife has to use a bathtub that's in a room that's still pretty much drywall and a couple of tiles. So
it's too bad you're having problems reaching completion, JJ. I feel bad about that.
Yeah. Thanks. Right off the bat, Tucker. Don't spit all over your computer.
I promised him no cock talk today.
Yeah, that's the thing is we have an episode that we actually cannot air.
Oh, we can. We just haven't yet.
We're not going to because we're classy. Because Tucker is unfortunately he's got a potty mouth, and in fact you've got a new button on your new thing for whenever someone's being too much of a potty mouth.
Hold on, it's not done yet. There we go.
That was a long sound effect. It is. Yeah, that was definitely like a 2-liter flush.
Yeah, we just upgraded our board, so now we have programmable sound effects, and the first one I did was a toilet flush.
It's a pretty big deal that we got to episode 100, and we have not missed a single episode in that time, so we put together this idea of we're going to put an episode out every Monday and Thursday, and there have been times at Wednesday at like 11:30 at night when we get together and say, we got to do something. And that's how like our Nutty Professor live audio commentary episode came to be. So I'm really excited that we got to 100 episodes, and we're going to keep blowing past it because I just put a ton of money into that thing that Tucker's using for a toilet sound effect. And I want to at least get the use out of it. I also want to say thank you to everyone who showed up here for this recording. This is very exciting for us.
It's like 95% previous guests.
I went to public school, so I don't know if that percentage is correct, but...
Well, 95% is the percentage that you're used to getting to, so I figured we would just call it that.
Yeah, good callback, Tucker,
Thank
on
you.
that one. So I've been really trying to take stock about all the things that I get almost done, the things I'm really excited about, and then I just sort of run out of steam, or I just say like, oh, I'm so sick and tired of this. I'm just done. I'm done. One of those things are some of the video games I play. I've been playing this one called Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's set in the Old West and you're a cowboy. And I put 50 hours into it, and you can go to a screen that'll tell you how much you've completed of the game. And I thought 50 hours, I got to be like right in the middle of this story, 6%. That's all that I had completed.
You just got 89% left to go.
Yep, and so I gave up. I gave up at 6%. I'm sure I'll come back to it at some point, but then I got to relearn all the buttons and all that garbage as it comes along. So when it boils down to it, if this podcast is the only thing I follow through on, I think I'm doing pretty good, especially because I've got another human being helping me with that progress.
Yeah, I think you lose a Saturday morning every week, and that's about it.
Yeah,
for the most part.
For the most part, but I've also found those Saturday mornings to be kind of the most interesting part of my week because I meet interesting people and we get to talk about interesting subjects. And sometimes I'll invite somebody on and they won't have any idea why. Like, for example, Phil Goodell and Kevin Kennedy, who are both here. I said, you guys come be on the podcast. And I said, we're going to get 2 episodes. We're going to do an improv episode. And then I'm going to ask you guys what it's like to be a Catholic. So, what? Just out of curiosity, do you know what our least downloaded episode of this show is?
I'm almost positive it's Tucker Meets World. Oh, I think it's the one. I think it's the one where you interviewed me. But give me a moment, and I'll double check that.
We're just below.
Oh, no, it's the one that the National Guard asked us to take down.
Oh, yeah. The Army National Guard. We did an episode with them that after only, 8 hours being out there, Superior called and said, we'd appreciate it if you'd take that one down. So if you subscribe to our Patreon, we're going to send it to you.
Yeah.
Because we'll give money. If you give money, we'll give you anything you want for free. So you guys sit back, enjoy. This is going to be a lot of fun on our 100th episode of JJ Meets World.
JJ Meets World.
Okay.
All right, ready to go. Tucker, who's our earliest guest who's here from early episodes?
It might be Britta.
I think it probably is, right?
Maybe.
You were episode number 3?
4.
4?
Episode number 4.
Which one is Brent Brantz? Because he was also at the very beginning.
Let me. You have to give me a moment here to.
He's 6.
You're number 6.
Screw off, Brent Brandt. Britta, come on up here and grab one of these mics. There you go. Yeah, get comfy. Also, people listening to this podcast don't know, but the screensaver has been turned on my computer, so it says Jonathan's MacBook Pro, which is really embarrassing because for a long time I did not tell people what my real first name was. Because if you yelled Jonathan in a very crowded room, I wouldn't turn around. There's one person on the planet who calls me Jonathan, and it's my Aunt Ginny.
I just thought you were Jenna Jameson Gordon for the longest time.
Yeah, I know you did. Britta.
Yes.
Since you've been on JJ Meets World, how has your life changed?
Oh, I get recognized way more often.
I knew it.
Yeah, people stop me all the time and they're like, I really recognize your voice. And of course, my first response is I'm on the radio. And they're like, no,
but
no,
you
that's
really
not
aren't
it.
anymore.
No, but usually people...
You work on a station that doesn't have any DJs.
But
so...
you still hear my voice a lot.
True.
All day long, even overnight, you'll hear it. And they're like, no, that's not it. Were you on a podcast called JJ Meets World? And I'm like, yeah, I was.
Our church makes us listen to that. So you were also one of the first people to come back as a secondary guest on another episode. We did an all-improv episode.
Yes, we did. That was a fun one.
Did you think when you sat down to do that improvised episode that you and I would play a married couple?
It's not like I thought about it beforehand, but it seems to happen a lot in our improv scenes.
Yeah, and we're never a happily married couple.
No.
We're always an unhappy, really just salty, surly couple.
There's always some type of tension and problem, and I think that's because it's like our working relationship is tense that a lot.
I have many scribbles of me choking Britta. Because there's no one who frustrates me more at work than Britta. Britta is that person who says, you'll lay out your plan for an event. It doesn't matter what event it is. And Britta will be the first one to go,
no.
Actually, it's NP Avenue, not First. Well, what difference does that make? Well, you've got the wrong one written down that piece of paper and you look like an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, that happened, like a week and a half ago? Almost verbatim.
I feel, are you making something up? I don't remember it.
See, you're so mean to me on a regular basis, it just goes right over your head. You just don't care anymore.
Britta actually has a third appearance on JJ Meets World, our Catholics episode.
Right.
Catholics episode.
I would prefer people don't listen to that
actually,
one.
I was wondering if you might be willing to give us so there's a song, a Christian song that you...
For Christian rap
that you learned early on.
Yeah, in confirmation, I think we had it was something that got played all the time. I'm pretty good with music, and so it really clicked, and I still know it to this day.
So we did this Catholics episode, and we knew we wanted to have a nice, fun bookend, and so we asked Britta to send an audio clip of her doing this rap.
Okay, but
now
that's
we didn't
not
tell
how
her
it
why.
happened.
We didn't tell her why. We were just like, could you just send me this?
Yeah.
Could you send me the rap?
I was out at a festival, a beer drinking festival out of town. I get a message from JJ while I'm literally sampling beers. I'm going through hundreds of lines. And he's like, hey, can you send me an MP3 recording of your Bible rap? And drunk Britta's not even questioning it. Yeah. In my head, I guess I assumed he wanted to show someone else it. It was just
I did. I wanted to show thousands.
JJ's personal use. And then lo and behold, that next Monday when I'm back at work, I see that I'm tagged on the episode, and I'm like, what could this be? Oh, and I start it with the F word and I end it with a fart noise that Tucker left in. So
yeah, we did not edit it all.
It starts with her going I don't know how this is gonna sound.
Okay.
But I was singing.
You guys be quiet,
I'm really drunk right now. I don't know how this is gonna go. It's probably gonna be really bad.
Well, now that you've started, why don't we get us?
It's literally to remember the books of the Bible. So Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges. I'll tell you the truth about the book called Ruth and the 1st and 2nd Samuel, 1st and 2nd Kings, 1st and 2nd Chronicles. All those things lead to Esther and Jeremiah, Esther and Job. I want to go to heaven in a righteous robe. Thank you. Yeah.
I believe there's a little more these are the holy
Yeah, that's
books.
the chorus. Tell me the names and I'll take a second look.
Well, that's good. It's good to know. So she had a third appearance and now she's on her fourth appearance.
This will be her fourth appearance.
Wow. Look at me go.
Yep. Now we're done with you. Later.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Britta.
Yep. Well done.
Episode
well
4,
done.
Girl Rush. So, JJ, I realize there's actually a better answer to earliest guest who's sitting here. Now that I've looked at the list, it's Mr. Kevin Kennedy who is sitting over on the couch over there.
Is he episode 2? Drop Dead
episode
Kevin?
number 2.
Kevin Kennedy, hop on up here. Kevin, you've been on a couple of the improv episodes. You were also on our Christmas episode where we recorded a radio play version of A Christmas Carol.
That's true. Yes.
And here I was thinking this is going to be easy. It's a bunch of line benders. We'll just kind of improvise this. Well, I should have gone through and I should have really taken a look at the script. Because we were reading it not knowing that some of these characters existed. And so we have me doing the voice of Martha at one point.
We originally, when we were supposed to tape it, Britta and I think Shelly was supposed to be there, and Phil was supposed to be there, and then that got canceled. And we had to do another day on the fly. And you're like, we have to do it this day because Tucker was leaving, and he had to get it edited and the whole thing. So we show up, and there's 5 of us, 5 guys, and there's 5 women in the show.
Yeah, a lot.
And we literally we planned out some of the females, but then we froze. We got to Martha, and we all looked at each other, and we stared at each other, and Jay just goes, well, I'm home, Father! It's quite funny.
You just got to run with it, right?
Yeah.
All the ladies kind of sounded like this.
Yes. Bad British accent.
Tiny Tim.
They kind of
Tiny Tim.
Yeah, we planned out.
Very Bee Gees-like in the voices for the women.
We figured out that we did the simple stuff. Who was going to play Scrooge, which was me, Bob Cratchit, and the 3 ghosts and stuff. That was it. That was all we had planned.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun.
Your son played most of the female roles, didn't he?
He played a couple. He played Mrs. Cratchit, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, he did. And he was good.
Yeah. Yes.
He was pretty good.
He was.
And he played Tiny Tim, too, didn't he?
He played Tiny Tim, yeah. You
Yeah.
had, though, a conversation with yourself as Bob Cratchit and Martha.
Yeah,
which is
back
quite
and forth. Where it was
entertaining.
like, hello, wife. Hello, Bob.
Yeah. Yes.
How are
I've
you?
been on 5
I'm
episodes,
good.
I think.
You've been on 5?
Now that I think
The
of
2
it. Yep.
improv, this one.
I did the Catholics one with Phil.
Catholics.
The first one I did.
You're right.
The 2 improv, and then this Christmas Carol one.
And so this
I
will
would
be your
like to
sixth
be
episode.
known for the record, too, that I know Scotch is episode 1. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, because you guys recorded the first ones like a few weeks before you went live, and I was the first one to record.
Recording,
And I said,
yeah.
I'm going to be the first one. Like, no, we're not going to put you
No.
first.
No.
Yeah, and Britta came into the studio she came right in after I did.
No, you
Yes.
guys are not nearly as awesome as Scotch. That's
Yeah,
why.
we're Scotch at Ohio. Oh, that's right. Scotch is not here. That's what I thought.
Yeah, Scotch is stuck in Holly right now.
Yeah. Well, that's his own purgatory.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't have made the trip anyways. Kevin, I've got a question for you. So,
Sure.
In your first episode, Drop Dead Kevin, we talk about school shootings and the movie Drop Dead Fred.
True.
Two
Yeah.
things that, to my knowledge, have never been put together in the same.
I thought you were going to say
podcast
two things
before.
that are near and dear to your heart for a second there.
No,
Yeah.
no. I mean, I do like Drop Dead
Yeah,
Fred.
he
It's
doesn't
got a
like
houseboat
that
in
much.
it.
That's true.
So my question to you is this: was there anything after you were done with that episode where you're like, "Oh, I should have said this. This is so much more interesting," because you talked a lot about how you drove for the Teamsters.
That's right, yeah.
And when I went back and listened to that episode, I said, "Why did we spend so much time talking about you being a Teamster?" It just went on and on and on.
I here's the thing that my son listened to the episode. He comes home, and his favorite line in the episode was Tucker saying, well, I guess the reason the movie sucks so bad is because of the transportation on the film.
Yeah,
Which is a huge drawback.
It was ranked the worst movie of 1991 by Gene Siskel, and it was. Awful movie.
Your
Yeah.
fault.
Yes. My fault.
Your
I'm
fault.
the last. If you watch the credits, which when I dropped that to JJ that I worked on that movie, he goes, I love that movie. That's Jill's favorite movie. We have it on DVD.
Yeah.
And he went home that night and watched it. I'm the last person to listen. So you have to go all the way through the credits to see me as the last transportation person.
My
And
wife was undecided about whether or not she liked you until the Drop Dead.
there you go.
Fred reference in there.
Yeah, awful.
And really,
movie.
you got to drive around Phoebe Kate. I can't remember the name of the comedian.
Rick Mail.
Rick Mail.
Who's dead? Yeah, Rick
He
Mail.
passed away recently.
Yeah, recently.
And he was supposed to be in the first 4 Harry Potter movies as Peeves the Ghost, but his part kept getting cut out of the movies.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Carrie Fisher, too.
Carrie Fisher was there. Somebody else. There was a bunch of people in that movie.
Did Kevin Kline ever come
He showed
visit?
up, and I talked to him for about 10 seconds. Yeah, he was there, just kind of
Was he
standing
like,
there.
hey, get me some toast?
No, he was standing by the craft table, drinking
Yeah,
coffee.
give me some toast.
Yeah,
Give me
basically, yeah.
Toast.
I actually got plenty of bread here, but none of it's toasted.
Yeah, could you toast it for me? No, yeah.
Also, Kevin, I want to bring this up because you're here with your wife. Thank you. Hey, Ginny, how are you? That's Virginia, Kevin's wife over there. She hasn't been on an episode yet, but it's because Kevin keeps telling me, don't put my wife on an episode. I want this to be my thing and not
Yeah.
a thing that the whole family has.
Yes, please.
So, Kevin, what's your favorite thing about me?
About you? Well,
Because we have long talks.
We
The kind of
do.
talks you find in romantic comedies.
True.
Like I can't believe the sun's coming up. But it's just us talking instead.
we were at Perkins the other night until 1 a.m., wasn't it?
We were at Perkins to the point of where the Uber drivers are dropping off the drunks.
Yeah. It was a little awkward. We helped the waitress bust the dishes
Yeah.
on our table because she was like, you could tell she wanted to do that. And we started handing her cups and dishes and stuff like that. It was kind of awkward.
Yeah, stop stalling. What's your favorite thing about me?
Let's see. Well, you were going to sell me your snowblower, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I really could have used it because Phil has it now, which really angers me. So that's not my favorite thing about you. How much you love improv. 'Cause it's
Oh,
one-
that's a
we
good
have that
one.
in common, and we both love improv.
How many line benders do we have here today? Raise your hand if you're a line bender.
There's one, two, three, four.
Five.
I'm firing one of them after this, though. So do we count that?
Which one, Britta?
We're gonna find out.
It's nice working with you, Phil. We were supposed to do a show last night and got snowed out, and that was our last chance.
Yeah. So while we're recording this, one of the huge winter storm hit the Fargo-Moorhead area, dumped about 10 inches of snow in the metro area. And I knew I had this recording coming up today, and so we also were supposed to be doing a post-prom in Langdon, North Dakota last night, which is north and then west. 17 miles from the Thank you, Phil Goodell. 17. Phil, if you have other things to add, would you at least just walk up to the mic so I don't have to do it? Because I have a feeling you're going to be that guy, okay? So I put the call out there, who wants to do this show? And Phil says yes, and Justin, another guy in Linebender, says yes, and then Kevin says my son and I will do the show as well. I said, well, I really only need 5 people. I really only need 4. And Kevin says, well, why don't you just stay home? I said, well, yeah, I will. That sounds great, especially because I know there's a storm coming up. So if anyone who was in town last night knows what it looked like outside at 5:30. Yeah, so at 5:30, I'm waving goodbye to Phil, being like, don't die! Or at least bring my car back! And Phil graciously picked up all the other line benders, stopped at the gas station, loaded up on gas and snacks, and just as they get in the car, I call him and said, oh, guys, DOT shut down the interstate, so you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking about a scenario where you guys did go on that show and you had to be put up like in Langdon with other families who are enjoying a post-prom. And Phil finds love in my scenario.
So you're saying we should have gone?
I mean, it could have worked out.
You know, last night I watched the movie The Departed, and then I watched...
You mean The Departed?
Yeah, The Departed. I watched that. I watched an episode on Netflix of The Mossad. Don't ask why I watched that. It was just happened to me.
Was it recommended after The Departed?
I think so. Anyway, I watched that, and I looked at the clock, and I realized we still wouldn't be on stage in Langdon. It was like 11:30. That's how late the show was supposed to be.
Doing post-proms are super lucrative because nobody wants to do them. They're just going to keep throwing money at you. And we would go and be like, hey, Langdon kids, we know you just had a big dance, and now you're in your comfy clothes. It's 12:30. Time for us to yuck it up.
And they're like, we just want to go make out. What are we doing? Why are we watching
let's be honest,
right
the reason they hired us to come in is so the kids aren't going to make out. So we are keeping them from making out. So that was our job.
Show really soured me. I don't think I can make out right now.
Did you see those guys sweat? Oh, God, abstinence. But it's interesting to do those post-proms because the audience is either amazing or they're horrible. There's no in between. Yeah. It's a bunch of kids looking at Snapchat, or it's legitimately a small town who's super excited to have a comedian come to town, let alone 4 of them, and having a great time when they're working with that. But I appreciate that you and Phil were going to go and make that drive. I'm glad that you didn't. Phil, like a dick, parked my car. I told him, don't even bother bringing the car back to my house. I'll pick it up from your house tomorrow. Parked it on the street.
Oh, and it's plowed in?
He just did a post-prom for you.
He didn't go.
Oh, he didn't?
He didn't make it.
Oh.
They shut down the interstate system. And so today I had to go pick up my car, and my first thought, in fact, Jill was with me in the car because she's giving me the ride. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Phil. Thanks for putting this in your driveway.
Did it take you an hour to shovel it out?
No, I was like, I don't care. I rocked it back and forth. I don't care if I spin dirt everywhere all over Phil's yard. It's just the way it happens.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with you, Kevin.
All right, thank you.
Yeah,
that's how we're dismissing guests today.
Well, so now I'd like to play a game. Okay.
Okay.
So I'd like to play a game. We're gonna play a little Family Feud. Okay. So here's the deal: is there someone here that you're with that would come up and be a team of 2? So I need 2 teams of 2. Who's gonna play? Fantastic. Shelly and Zach Fink from the back, come on up. Come on up. And they don't have to be related or married. If you see someone else who you like, Phil, I know you want to compete.
I'm doing a nomination, actually. I'm going to make them Freddie and Tony get up here.
Oh, Fred and Tony Bevel and Tony Magnol, come on up. And Tony's bringing his beer. Good move. All right. If you're not familiar with the game show Family Feud, this is how it works. We're going to start, and you can buzz in, but I don't want you to hit the table because we tell everyone that we bought the cheapest, best mics we could, the cheapest, best. So don't slap these things around. Just raise your hand, and I'll go over to you. In that first round, whoever gets something that is the higher scoring of the two can choose to play or pass. If you play, your team goes back and forth to finish these. Now, I should also note that this is Family Feud After Dark is what they call it. So it's a little inappropriate.
Would you and your family like to compete against another family at something that's naughty?
Yeah. Are you that family on the block?
Yeah. It's for the family After Dark.
Yeah, you don't want to do anything after dark with your family.
Not with your family.
No.
Not with my family.
What are you doing this Christmas? Oh, we're doing some after dark activities. All right, so just pick whoever's going to go first on your side. When you've got something, raise your hand, and we'll go from there. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. So.
And they're not all, they're all semi-inappropriate. Okay, so here we go. Shout out to, by the way, endlessgames.com who put this together and put their logo on every single card. Name something your spouse does in the bedroom that rhymes with mumble. Yes. Tumble is the number one answer. Number one answer. All right. Do you want to play or pass? So up to the mic. Now you say it in the microphone. Pass. All right. Gentlemen, you've got 3 strikes on this one, all right?
Is it the same topic?
It's the same topic. You just have to clear the other 6 things on this.
See, are they married?
They are married.
See, they should have just kept this. That's a strategy thing.
I know.
All right.
There's a better
I want to find out, though, what he does to you at night. Yeah. So I'm excited.
All right. Should I do it? I was going to do a Steve Harvey impression, but I think like my Richard Dawson impression is just as good. But people forget that Richard Kind hosted this show too, okay? He was Al on Home Improvement. And we've forgotten about him.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Fred, name something your spouse does in the bedroom that rhymes with mumble.
Fumble.
Fumble. Is it up there? Bing, bing, bing. Number 3 answer. Congratulations. Tony, same question to you.
All right. Oh, I still need an answer.
Yeah.
Rumble.
Rumble, second most popular answer.
All right.
So at this point, you have 36 points. Okay. Another one, please, Fred.
Bumble?
Bumble. That's a good one. Not on the list, though. Not on the list. Especially around the holidays.
Your significant other doesn't look on Bumble at night in the room?
Oh, I was thinking more like, like Gomer Pyle, like I'm bumbling. Oh, gosh.
That's kind of where I was going.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Underpants, what? All right. Tony, you got 1 strike.
Cry themselves to sleep. Oh, wait, it's got to rhyme.
It's got to rhyme with mumble.
Escapes from
Stumble.
Stumble, 5th most popular answer. Another 10 points on the board. All right, you guys might clear this. So far, we've had tumble, rumble, fumble, stumble. 3 left.
For not being married, they're doing pretty good.
Right up to the microphone, Shelley.
I think I'm going to get us the second.
You don't have to be married to hook up.
I hope you have a good one because I really. Are you? No. Yumble. I don't even know if that's a word. I don't even know. Is that a word? I think I could get away with it in Scrabble.
I wouldn't challenge it. It's not on the list, though. Now, just because it's not there doesn't mean it's not a word. So remember that. Hashtag Yumble. All right. There's 2 X's. 1 more, and it turns over to them. All they need is 1 correct answer.
Crumble.
Oh, good one.
Crumble.
Ooh.
I like it.
Bottom of the list, but it's on there. Another 5 points.
Oh, yeah.
Another 5 points.
Oh, yeah.
All right. 2 left.
Oh.
I feel
2
like we're
left.
going to learn a new
But you only have 1
That
X.
rhymes with that.
Yeah.
Mumble?
Mumble.
I like it.
It rhymes with the word mumble.
There you go.
So is the word mumble up there? It's a bold choice, Tony. Bold choice.
I like it.
Show me mumble. Sorry. All right. Now, to get this right, you just need to get one of the remaining two, and then all the points go to you guys.
All the points.
All the points.
Yeah, all the points. That's how Family Feud works. Don't you guys? Haven't you ever been unemployed?
Weekly.
What about grumble?
Grumble.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's a good one. It's a good one. You got one clap from the audience, but the other team is like, dang. No, Grumble's not up there. So our champions for this Family Feud, you guys missed humble
Humble?
and jumble.
How do you do
Yeah,
humble?
how do you do humble?
I mean, I did okay.
My love making was adequate. Right?
Give myself
That's a
a-
humble response.
I know I could have done better. I only got 95% of the way there.
I was going to say, yeah.
All right. So, do you guys want to do one more category? Yeah,
Sure.
one more. All right,
More
here we
natural.
go.
But
Okay, this is a
I know.
good
yeah,
one.
that seems like that's the one track to do. Sorry.
That's a good one. Okay. So remember, this is a buzz in. So first person to raise their hand,
All right.
and then
So
you
you're
can
in
choose
on
to
this.
play or pass. We asked 100 women, what part of your bodies do you and your girlfriends spend the most time discussing? Shelley.
Thighs.
Thighs.
What? This
So
is
if you get
bad
anything
data.
that's on this list, you get to
Who
choose
is your peer group? Thighs? Mm-hmm. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, thunder and lightning.
Boobs.
boobs. Number 3 response. They cleaned it up and said bosom, though.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
This is after dark. Why are they cleaning it up?
well, I don't know.
Oh, because it's a family game. That's
Yeah.
why.
By the way, if any team gets all of these, I'll be shocked. So, Tony and Fred, would you guys like to play or pass?
What do you want to do? We're gonna play.
You're gonna play, okay.
We feel very confident about what women talk about.
Obviously,
Keep your finger on the pulse. All right, lay it on me.
Hair.
Number 4 most popular response.
Wow.
Well done.
What else we got? Well, it's
Part of
something
their
they
body.
talk about. Oh, it's part of the body that
Mm-hmm.
they talk about. Go for it.
Toes.
Oh, good one.
I got to confer with Tucker about whether we're going to accept toes.
don't accept it.
We're not accepting that.
Oh, Tucker. It's got to be the East German judge every time. Every time.
All right.
If it wasn't you and I playing, he totally would have let it go. Toes isn't on there. Is feet?
Feet. This is number 7 most popular
Okay.
response. Another 5 points. Okay. So you've got bosom, hair, and feet.
Really?
Okay. I've never met a woman who liked her knees. They're always talking about how much they hate their knees. Is this true? Knees? Is it on the list?
Are you in a relationship right now, Tony?
No.
It's not. No.
That's- You can tell why.
Because of all your constant knee talk, I'm sure. Well, if Tucker said no to that, he's going to say no to this. Strike number 2.
Yeah, of course not.
Oh, they
Course
get to
not.
give. Is it? We have 2 strikes. I'm
Yeah.
gonna take the low hanging fruit. Blowjobs. They talk about blowjobs all the time.
The part of their body like that you're going to go for?
Oh. I mean, it involves their mouth, so I figured.
Well, maybe you want to go with like mouth. Or
Nope.
lips
Nope.
or...
I'm gonna go back to my partner.
Okay.
Not qualified. So probably not belly button. Legs.
Legs? Yes, legs
All right,
is
all right.
on there. Number 6. So you guys you've cleared the very bottom with feet and legs, and then you bounce up with hair and bosom. There are 3
How many
more
are there?
things left.
4 things left.
3 things.
I feel like these should be obvious.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're so in touch with what women talk
I know
about.
what women know and
Hey,
think.
did you ever see that movie about that guy who got struck by lightning and then he was able to know
Mel
what women
Gibson?
were thinking and he knew like what what they wanted, what the women all
That
wanted.
Mel Gibson movie?
Yeah.
No.
What women want?
It was so good. What was it called? What? Yeah, it was what? You know, he can see what women think. Braveheart.
Very sensitive movie.
Yeah. All right.
Would you say what's this?
Jest, maybe.
You think I don't.
They're making. So remember,
lips.
there's a podcast. Lips. No, Tucker will not accept lips. I'm not even going to show him.
I will not.
So you guys, for the steal, you haven't even gotten the number 1 or number 2.
Zach knows.
Let's go with stomach.
Stomach. Number 1 most popular response. All right. Because of that, we have to have a sudden death. You won 1, they won 1, and we'll go with this, okay? So this is good because it kind of pertains to me a little bit. Name an excuse that a man uses to postpone marrying his girlfriend. And I gotta say, they nail all of these. Yes.
Money.
Money. Second most popular response. Are you going to play or pass?
I don't know. What do you want to do? Maybe we should. All right. How long did you guys date?
12 years.
Okay, maybe we should play it. I guess we're gonna play.
All right. Lay another one on me.
Career.
I'm going to say his job was the response. I'm going to give it to you.
All right.
Ding, 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 ding. Keep
many-
it rolling. Keep
How
it
many
rolling.
are there?
There's 6 total, and you've got 2 of them
An
already.
infinite amount.
Yeah, I mean, I could find all sorts of reasons.
Yeah.
Still lives with his mom.
Still lives with his mom. No, I'm not going to give that to you. What else could it? If you can't, what else could it be? Those are the only things that postpone a marriage.
Toes. What was the other one you
He's
said,
saving
sir?
up to get his knees replaced.
Knees.
We can do a callback to the dirty one.
Yep. Okay.
Ladies, don't you just hate your knees in the morning when you look at them?
What do you think?
Too busy.
Too
No time off work, kind of a thing.
busy. Well, I mean, you just said job, and I gave you that one as a pity. So I'm going to say no. But you're close.
Yeah, 1 strike left, I think.
Yeah. You fear the end of the world. I mean, that's possible.
Excuses because she's not pregnant.
In-laws.
In-laws. No. That's
they're
your
gonna
third
pass.
strike. That's your third strike.
12 years dating.
Now, if you guys
I
don't
like the
get
reasoning
it goes
of, I can't marry
they
you,
win.
you're not
So-
pregnant yet.
Go
That's
for
all
it.
the reasons you didn't want to marry me again. Batter up.
Into the microphone.
By the way,
Freedom.
this is important to note.
It's a
That-
Braveheart callback.
Why are these guys? How did you guys even meet?
We met because of JJ Gordon.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here. And then and how did it go beyond that? Because you were co-hosting the trivia with me.
JJ lied to me and
Yep.
said Zach asked about me when I wasn't there. And I was like, oh my God, he does like me. False. He never asked about me. So then the next week, I just hit on Zach hard until he finally gave in and married me.
That's
So
so
if any
romantic.
of you need somebody to get married, I'm pretty good at putting 2 things together like that. All right. Name
So
an
he said
excuse.
freedom.
Freedom. I'm going to defer to Tucker. Do you think any of those dictate the word freedom?
Come on, Tucker.
No.
No.
Oh.
That means Tony and
Fred.
and Freddie are our winners.
Good game.
The things that you missed on this, number 1, not ready. He's just not ready. Number 4, he's already married. Whoa. Number 5, not in love. And number 6, this is where the in-laws were close. His mom dislikes her. Yeah. Mhm.
That was definitely
Yeah.
a player.
But good job, guys. You guys know each other really well.
Congratulations.
We got 3 previous guests out of 4 up here. We've had Shelly, Freddie, and Tony have all been on the show before. Heavy metal episode, stand-up comedy episode. you episode. Horses, I think.
me.
Something like that.
Well, we talked about all sorts of stuff on her episode. Now, it's important to note that Shelley also works for the Air National Guard, and her episode did not get cut.
Right, because I'm appropriate.
Because she's super professional.
I am.
Super professional all the time. Give these guys another big round of applause.
Thank you.
I'm going to call it Alex. You want to hop up here real quick? Yeah, hop on up to the mic. So when someone
Alex
asks
Rydell.
me what episode of JJ Meets World they should listen to, I always tell them In Undertaking. So Alex Rydell, if you haven't listened to his episode, works at Hanson Runsvold, and his career is about when your loved one has entered into the great beyond.
Shuffled off the mortal coil.
And what takes place after that. And this was the first episode where I realized that I don't like to know too much about someone before I go into the discussion, because we found out that you're a very accomplished violinist, and people and also, why do people like you so much? Because it's almost to the point of where I don't trust you anymore. So many people have told me, like, oh, I listened to the Alex Rydell episode. Alex is just the nicest guy. Isn't Alex the best? Alex.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
And-
Now he doesn't trust you, apparently.
Yeah, so now I
because
don't
of
trust
that.
you.
Yeah.
You're too
Because all these
good.
people trust
I
you.
can't just be a good guy.
Yeah, and you're always smiling like that. You're always. What are you hiding?
Oh, I got nothing, man. This is me. You know,
You know-
Tucker can vouch for that, right?
Yeah, so I went to high school with Alex. We had no idea he was going to become an undertaker in high school. We all thought he was going to be just a professional violinist, which he is. He plays in Pachin. Is that the only group you're playing with locally
Right now, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you kill it. And the fact that you're an
thank you.
undertaker really helps with the fiddlin' undertaker persona that you've got.
It's a good shtick, you know.
Yeah. But how's undertaking going these days since we last talked to you?
It's good.
Business
It's-
is good?
Yeah, it's good.
Business is good.
That's a terrible question to ask,
Yeah.
but
It was a comment.
it's good. Yeah.
It sounded like a filler to me.
yeah.
So, an interesting story since I met you for the first time ever on their episode. I ran into Alex the morning of Thanksgiving because Alex was running in the Turkey Trot
Yep,
5K,
Turkey Trot, yep.
Burn the Bird 5K, and I had been talking to somebody at work. And I said, oh, do you know Alex Rydell? And they're like, I love Alex Rydell. And so we had been chatting for a couple of months about Alex. And this person told me, well, Alex recently was just out hunting, and he finally, on his 8th day of hunting, finally got his deer. And so I said, oh, that's interesting. I happened to run into Alex 2 days later, and I said, hey, congratulations on your deer. And he looked at me with that smile and goes, what? And I said, yeah, the deer that you got. And he goes, nope, not me. Turns out that the person I had been talking to thought that I had mispronounced the name of Alex Riddle. And so we'd been talking about two different people this entire time. So when I was talking to this individual saying, yeah, he was telling me all about, his career and his violin playing. You've got someone who's at least sort of on just the outskirts of everything that you do, enough where a complete stranger assumes that you are that person.
Sure. Yeah. That was really funny. And in actuality, I kind of played into it a little bit before I busted. Okay, that's not me, because I was, it was one of those
I'd asked you
awkward
about
things.
your kid just got a haircut, right?
Am I gonna just let it go, or oh yeah, hunting, that was great. Shot that animal.
So, yeah.
And then when he shut down, I was like, what? What's happening? And I felt kind of stupid saying was I not paying attention to this individual? Right. And when I finally figured it out, I think I sent you a message and I said, well, this is the problem.
Do any confused hunters show up at Hanson and just be like,
yes.
Do you take care of this for me?
Yeah, exactly. Oh no.
So our most downloaded episode is the Santillan Diaries. Our second most downloaded episode is an undertaking here with Mr. Alex Rydell. For whatever reason, your episode has really caught people. Have you had anyone, maybe not from the podcast, but just come up and ask you the sort of undertaking questions we were asking you? Because we get a pretty in-depth look at that life.
Yeah, and I think that's people have mentioned that they've listened to it and they think it's so interesting, and it's a topic that everyone has to deal with at some point in their life, and so it's just this it's one of those things that everyone's really interested in, but there's not a lot of of people that do what we do. And so when you come into contact with a person, it's, you get to hear some of those stories, and it's something that we don't think about a lot unless we're in the moment and we have to think about it. So it's just kind of, it's a cool I love talking about it. And so the opportunity to do that was great because, I'm always a proponent for planning ahead and talking about your wishes and things. And so it was just it was fun.
When that episode was so popular, we actually got a rival Undertaker call us.
Yes,
and be like, why didn't you call? Have me come in?
It wasn't even about popularity. It was the next day. This other company called like, well, we could have sent one of our guys out to talk to you if you really want to talk about it. Said, I haven't talked to you since high school, dude. Like, slow your roll. Now, speaking of high school, something I didn't mention in the episode is I was in the musical Oliver. And I played Mr. Sourberry, the Undertaker, in that musical.
Relatable.
And I had a great duet with a girl named Allie Shower, and our song was called "That's Your Funeral." And I was listening to your episode one day, and I was like, "Why didn't I throw that in as my interesting anecdote?" Because the song, according to everything we learn in your episode, is factually incorrect.
Right? Yeah, as are many things, but yeah.
What's the biggest thing you think misconception about your job that you think people have?
Oh my gosh. Misconception about my job. Well, a lot of people don't realize that we do everything. So a lot of people think, I'm a funeral director, or a mortician, or an embalmer. Like, I'm just in the back room. Like, that's all I do. Or I'm just doing these things. They don't understand or realize a lot of times that I'm like start to finish. Like, if somebody dies, we'll go, pick them up, and then we'll do any preparation work. We'll meet with the families. We arrange everything. We do the service. We do the burial. Like, it's just it's one of those jobs that's all encompassing. But people think we're just these science people, that are in the back room, doing all that stuff. So
I've never thought about a science person.
Thank you. That's good.
I think of Night of the Living Dead 2 is what I think of.
I think professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's good too.
Pretty much, you're all professional wrestlers, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's a good deep cut from the 80s. I had that wrestling, buddy. Alex, so you had never been on a podcast before.
No.
This is a brand new thing for you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we're always a little nervous when we have a guest who's never been on, has never had the spotlight shown upon them.
Yeah.
But you took to this pretty easily. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast about what you do in your industry? Because I think that there's a massive audience out there of your community who would probably enjoy this. Or do you listen to other mortuary podcasts?
There's been a few that have kind of come and gone that are funeral-related podcasts by funeral directors. Some more successful than others, and I think it is tempting. I was pretty nervous, like, going into it, like, okay, this, I was all worked up about it, and it was great. So I've thought about it, but in the grand scheme of things, I think with the sensitive nature of it, I don't know. I guess I get a little hesitant about it, thinking, well, we got to be careful, who we're talking about if we're, doing that, and it would be a great thing. It certainly would be a cool thing to do a podcast about, and like I said, there's been some people that have done it successfully for a little while. But
I just want to come up with a name for it.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be
That's what I think. That's where my talent with your podcast will be.
Okay.
Because I'm going to pretty much force you to do a podcast. Alex Rydell, everybody.
Hey, thanks.
If you don't mind me interrupting here,
please do.
So after an undertaking, our third most popular episode is actually Mozzarella Stick of Facts.
I was going to say Chelsea Ewan.
Yeah.
So our studio story started with this. We were recording at Tucker's office building, and that was great. And it was a nice spot. And then we started recording in Tucker's apartment, where we'd have to turn off the bubbler for his turtle. And I always kind of felt like, what if one of these goes really long and you get a floater? And then later on, we ended up moving over to Apt, which, if you guys don't know the story of Apt, is really neat. It's where you used to go to, like, take your physical and do your urinalysis test after you join the Army. So when the Kilborn group bought that building, they said, well, what are we going to do with it? And the arts partnership said, well, this is perfect because you've got all these studio spaces, the small exam room spaces. Some of them even have water in it. And so there's this cool artist collective that's taken place there. And we had a studio, and then we've just moved into a slightly larger studio out there that we keep telling our guests, don't worry, we just moved in. That's why this place looks like crap. But we've been there now over a month. We're 95% done with our studio.
At least you're consistent.
Yeah, always. Chelsea, you work for the Arts Partnership.
I do.
And one of the things you do is you write pieces in the forum about different artists and art events that are taking place. And so when Chelsea reached out and said, gosh, we're going to write an article about, JJ Meets World, our first thought was like, oh, God, we got to seem so professional when we do this thing. And we insisted that Chelsea actually come and record an episode with us so that she gets that experience. What has your post-JJ Meets World life been like, Chelsea? How far have we elevated your fame?
It's been really wonderful.
Good.
I fortunately, when you were talking about people that have gone on the radio before, I go on the radio every week with Bob Harris. He's
That's
here
right.
tonight in
Bob
the crowd.
Harris, previous guest.
We go on the Metro Arts scene every night at KFGO. So I did go in with some experience on being on the radio, at least. It was my first podcast experience, other than the podcasting after KFGO. But other than that, it was the first time. It was a really fun experience. Listening to myself is always and still is a challenge. So I try to not trip over my words too much. That was a good experience just to listen to myself again in a different kind of setting. Still don't like my voice, but after JJ Meets World, it was just it's kind of just
Phone's just ringing
a
off the
lot.
hook now.
Yeah,
Everyone
right. Exactly.
just want to hang out.
Yeah,
That's all they want.
exactly.
Probably a lot of podcast people being like, oh, maybe if we have her on, she'll write an article about us.
Right. I have written a lot of different articles about people and gone on the radio and talked about a lot about different things.
So we're no longer the only podcast studio in Apt. There's another group of guys,
Yep.
Tucker was just telling me, who are doing a rap-based podcast.
Yep, Paleo Invasion. So I haven't talked to those guys yet. But now
Awesome.
there's
Yeah,
more.
they're brand new. I haven't even met them yet, so that's great.
Yeah.
That people are reaching out to us to say, "Hey, we are interested in this studio space for XYZ." And of course, the beauty of Apt is that we're pretty open to it as long as it's some kind of creative based thing. We're pretty open to that, and that is a temporary space. So we are moving out by the end of June, but we're still figuring out that next phase, and we'll see how that goes. But
One thing that I always like to ask people is, what did you think of the intro in your episode? So Tucker and I, after we do the interview, do an intro piece that becomes part of it. And some people hate their intro.
i.e. Dana Del Val.
Yeah, your boss, Dana Del Val, hates us. And what did she put on Facebook? You had to listen to 5
talked
minutes
about-
of sweat socks?
we talked
yeah,
about-
sweaty
We
socks.
talked
I
about
remember
sweaty
that.
gym socks for like
Yeah.
10 minutes
Right.
before we got to her.
So she
Yes.
was like, just skip ahead to when I show up on the podcast.
Yes, it was fine. I mean, you were talking about mozzarella sticks, which when I saw the title of the podcast, I was like, did we talk
Yeah,
about
you
mozzarella?
talked about
we
it.
did talked about a little bit, but you
Not
started
enough for-
with that.
That's the nice thing is that's what sticks out in our mind when we do those intros is like, oh, mozzarella sticks.
Well, and that's a key in a bit of the process of making the podcast. So JJ is the host. His job is to show up and be energetic. And then my job is to get it online after that. And so I just come up with a title and a thumbnail. And I don't really think about, is this good? I think about, do I like it? Yeah, okay. And so it's usually from something from inside that episode. And at one point, I think you said the phrase mozzarella stick of facts. And I thought that's ridiculous.
Because
Let's
of
use
course
that.
I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I never quite know what will come out of my mouth sometimes. I remember talking about snakes and toilets. That was
Yep.
an interesting
yeah, my
little
number
bit.
one fear.
Yes, exactly. That is one of my. Well, of course, I talked about snakes as my irrational fear, and then you made it worse by
Yeah.
bringing up snakes and toilets.
And here's the thing. I have now discussed snakes in toilets. That's my number one fear is sitting down on a public toilet and there being a snake that comes out of the hole.
Still really freaked out.
I've
by
talked
that.
about it enough that thanks a lot, Big Brother, because that's all that pops up for like suggested videos.
The
It's like,
original title for
weird
this
snake
podcast
videos.
was Toilet Talk.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And-
But we didn't have that sound clip ready yet. So that's why we put it off.
Yep.
Piece of JJ Meets World trivia. What do you guys think JJ and I think is the best public restroom in the Fargo-Moorhead area?
If you're a frequent listener of JJ
We
Meets
talk
World,
about
we've
it like
talked
every
about
other
it
episode.
twice at least. Yeah.
If you're ever at the Fargo Theater and you have the privilege to access the men's room, use the second larger stall in there because it's big. It's got a nice frosted window. It's really warm because the heater's in there.
Yeah,
it's
a
usually fairly
radiator
private.
heat, and then you get all this natural sunlight, but it's opaque. You can't see through it,
Best
which is
public
nice.
restroom in Fargo.
It's phenomenal.
I'd like to say noted, but I don't go into men's rooms, so we'll.
Interesting.
Okay,
It is
great.
It's the same as the women's.
Great.
The women's has the frosted window in the left.
Is there a radiator? The radiator.
The radiator is outside of the stall.
Yeah,
For those
see, you're
who can't
missing
hear,
out.
we have two unruly guests who are arguing back and forth right now, and it's making everyone
I
really
am,
uncomfortable.
I am seeking out the facts for it. Chelsea, I'm just curious. Have you ever thought about starting a podcast yourself?
I have, yes.
Yeah?
After I felt some inspiration of just thinking about, because I work at the Arts Partnership, I talk a lot about the arts, but I have a lot of different interests and just thinking about what that would be and also filling a need because, let's start a podcast is the new, we should do a band or start a band, there's a whole lot of different podcasts out there. But I was talking to Randy Kay and she has one about self-care, and self-care is something
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about.
JJ Meets World was featured on her podcast.
Yes,
I say
he was
believe it's her
telling me
most
about
recent
that.
episode. So
Did
we've
you edit
really
any of
broken
like
it
the
down.
embarrassing stories about you out of it? Is that all in there still? Yes.
Come on up, Randy. Come on up. Come on up as this thing.
You can
See,
stay
we're
up
keeping
here,
it
Chelsea,
loose.
if you want. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to it. I guess you didn't know. If I
Burn on you.
I listened to it when I recorded it for you.
Oh, okay.
That's when I listened
Whatever.
to it.
I kept it all in there except for some of the names of the other people
You cut those
to
out.
protect their names, but I have no shame, so kept it in.
So, I think the podcast world is huge right now, right? Because it's fairly easy to start a podcast. If you've got a smartphone, you can have a podcast up in 5 minutes after that.
We've got Poker TV people in here, and I always use Poker TV as the example that if producing poker television is like running an Ultraman marathon, producing a podcast is like walking your dog around the block twice.
I quoted you in the
Did you?
article, that
That's
exact
nice.
quote.
Nice.
Obviously, Tucker didn't read the article
Nope.
either.
Nope.
He just looked at the pictures
I
and
was
moved
there.
right along.
I was there. I remember what we talked
What's
about.
Beetle Bailey up to today? Randy, immediately after your episode, and even when we were on your podcast, we thought, there are all these other great embarrassing stories we should have talked about that we didn't get to. And I'm not going to get up to those at this point
Oh, thank
because that
you.
would just be rude to do that to Randy and call her out right now.
That's all right.
But there is, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. There's a song that you wrote that I love that you don't even play anymore.
Oh, no.
That sometime I'd like you to play. Do you know the song I'm talking about?
Yes.
What's the title of it?
Say goodbye.
Say Goodbye. It's a good song. It's a really good song.
It's the first song I ever wrote.
That was the first song you ever wrote?
Yeah. The one about Jake.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say his name.
I don't care.
We'll protect. We'll say Jake H. Wait, is that too obvious? How about this? We'll call him Jay Harchie.
Little Simpsons callback.
He knows. We've talked about it.
Yeah, but the people listening in Vermont don't.
JJ, do you like that song better or Somewhere Out There?
Shut up.
American
You shut
Tail
your
better.
mouth. You shut your mouth.
I would play it. It's catchy.
Can we have you on a future episode to play it?
Sure.
Okay, you just said it in front of all these people.
Yep, I'll do
and
it.
we don't edit anything out of our podcast.
It's true. We can relive my high school heartache. That's fine.
I heard that's how Braveheart was written.
Right.
It's based off of someone's high school experience.
It's very symbolic.
All right, ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I want to, Andrew, you want to hop up real quick? I got like 2 questions for you. So I've known Andrew for several years now, and He sent me a message out of the blue. The first time I ever thought, oh my God, someone actually listens to this podcast. And he sent me a message saying like, hey man, I listen to JJ Meets World while I run in the morning. And it's great. This is maybe like 8 or 9 episodes in. And immediately I told Tucker, we need to up our game because there are actually people out there who are listening. And not just the people who are on an episode.
Unless you're in the state of Wyoming.
Wyoming still doesn't. What's the deal? Everyone here know anyone in Wyoming? Yeah. Phil does. Both Phils who've been on the podcast. Chelsea too. It's the only state in the union that we haven't been downloaded in. In the union.
These continental states.
Yeah.
How you doing in Hawaii and Alaska?
We're downloaded
in
there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Rhode
So
Island,
not just the
Montana,
continental.
Florida.
I haven't checked on Puerto Rico, though, but we'll hopefully make that happen. Yesterday, my wife made fun of me because I found a pair of lobster print. Most people would probably call them like a bathing suit or swimming trunks, but I called them swimming pants. And she immediately was like, I gotta tell someone about how stupid you are because I call sweatpants gym bottoms. Does anyone else call them gym bottoms? No one has ever heard that? Yeah. Gym bottoms. I swear to God, that's what they used to be in Sears catalogs. Like, enjoy 25 colors of gym bottoms.
Your wife should start like a Twitter account just for things JJ says at home.
That's a good idea. That's really Jill, would you get on that for me, please? Fantastic.
I would download that podcast.
It's going to be a Twitter account, though.
Puerto Rico has downloaded us once.
See?
Well, there you go.
Oh, man. So my question for you, Andrew,
Yes.
is once you were on an episode, were you nervous before you came onto the episode of JJ Meets World?
No, because you're such a natural and well-versed interviewer. So you make it pretty easy.
You earned that $5 I promised you to
You're
say
welcome.
that. I find that a lot of people, when they listen to it, when they get on the podcast, that's all they want to talk about. They want to talk about previous episodes or this, that, or the other thing. And we got to really like shy away from the JJ Meets World fandom and get into some meaty stuff about publishing with you.
Yes.
So much so that I've had 2 people send me messages talking about how that's what they want to do after they go to college.
Really?
Or when they go to college.
Wow.
And they said, this is a real eye-opener for me about what I need to learn for my skill set going forward. So because of your episode, you may have changed the course of people's lives.
Wow. I hope they don't create rival magazines in Fargo-Moorhead, though.
They
But
definitely
God bless
are.
them. Good
They
for them.
definitely are.
Go pursue your dreams, everybody. Actually, I was surprised. I just was on an interview 2 days ago, and somebody said, I just listened to your episode of JJ Meets World.
Really?
So, yeah.
Was this person like famous?
He was not, no.
Oh, that's too bad.
Were they in Puerto Rico?
Yeah. Not Wyoming.
And did they give you any feedback on your episode of JJ Meets World?
He was impressed. He said you did a good job. Wasn't so impressed by me.
You don't need to be polite if he didn't say these things, but if he did, keep saying them. Keep saying them over and over and over again. We got to talk a little bit too about how in your job it seems like you do everything. Like you've taken photographs of me, you've planned out pieces, you've written about us. The first time we were published in anything was the piece you wrote about the 5 things I'm digging right now, like this month.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
JJ Meets World was at the top of that thing. And so we've got that framed along with Chelsea's article. We haven't framed our HPR article yet because it's a weird size
It's a
piece
double
of paper.
pager.
Yeah, it's weird. And do you guys know how expensive it is to have stuff custom framed? My God. What are they doing back there? Is that a skill set? You talk about undertaking. There must only be 3 people on the planet who know how to cut a frame, and so that's why it's so expensive. When did glass get to be the spendy object out there? Going forward in your life,
Yes.
do you want to stay in this community, or do you think that you're gonna leave it at one point?
I should look to my wife while I say this. What do you want to do, honey?
You bought a house.
We bought
Good
a
for
house.
you.
We're sticking in town.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
The dog likes it here. So,
I was recently reading an article, and I actually thought about you while I was reading it because it was about the idea that people in our, we're relatively close in age range, are having a problem now about deciding where they're going to end up in life and how that our generation's got a real the grass is greener mentality, but we also are just like previous generations not wanting to leave that 50-mile radius of where we grew up. And I thought about you in this article just because I thought, well, publishing is the type of world that if you want to really get into that career, if your dream is to, I don't know, do People Magazine, I don't know, hopefully something better than People Magazine. It changes, but your industry has changed so much about how you can be in publishing, and you could be in Fargo, North Dakota. You could piece together a magazine that ends up in Denver, or you could end up, writing a piece or editing a piece that could end up in the New York Times. So it must be kind of neat to know that you can put your roots down here without having to,
For sure.
go way far away.
Yeah. It's kind of like having a podcast that can be downloaded in 49 states.
Yep.
So, yeah. I mean,
Is that
really,
95%?
And the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I don't think it is. Andrew, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Give it up. So we're right at the tail end. We've hit our little cusp here. Usually I look at my phone, but our new thing tells me what time we've got.
We've been recording for an hour and 4 minutes and 12 seconds, 13 seconds, 14 seconds.
15. I'd like to end with Phil Goodell real quick. Phil Goodell.
Phil has the 5th most downloaded episode of JJ Meets World, The Trials of Phil, which is a personal favorite of mine.
I got a pretty big family, and they let me know that they listened to it.
Also, being divorced because of a Neil Diamond concert is pretty awesome.
My uncle, during camping this last summer, he goes, "Hey, Phil, sweet Carol." I swear he did that like 3 times. I was like, yeah, you listened to the podcast. I get it.
A Neil Diamond concert ended Phil's marriage.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I also got a really great bed story if you want to hear that sometime.
Yeah, because we did. So I knew Phil for 5 years before I finally asked him, like, hey, why did your marriage end? Because I had only known single Phil.
Yeah.
And everyone else in Linebenders was always kind of like, well, Phil used to be married. Wait, what? Phil used to be married? Mm-hmm. And I've only known you as a single man, too, which is sad.
A single man.
I'm sorry.
Single man.
I'm sorry. So if anyone has a nice niece...
Hey, I want to meet this gal that you dreamt of in Langdon.
Oh, it didn't since you didn't have to be stormed into her place, it doesn't happen.
Like Phil's finally going to meet JJ's dream girl.
So, Phil, the reason I want to end with you, Phil, is because I like to find any opportunity to let you know how much I appreciate you as a person. Phil joined Linebenders, and the first thing I thought was like, well, the only person I need to fire is Phil Goodell. And thank God I didn't, because Phil is one of the most accomplished improvisers I've ever met, one of the most dedicated people I've ever met. And Phil never says no, including today when I called him and said, you need to stop at the KFGO studios and grab this cord for me, or I can't really do this podcast adequately. And he was like, okay, sounds good.
No problem. It was on my way.
I just got out of the shower. And Phil, it's amazing because you overcame cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You're just tragically lonely, and you're not doing anything to make it better. Tragically lonely, because you've got so much to give.
That's
if you were
true.
like a schmuck, I'd be like, well, he's doing it to himself. But he's such a nice guy. And ladies, his credit is off the charts.
I've actually looked at it. I'm like, I don't know what to compare it to.
Britta, is he the one that eats single hot dogs over the
loose hot dog?
Loose hot dogs over the sink.
Before our New Year's party, I sent a picture of me eating a loose hot dog to Britta and JJ over the sink, because I was like,
so he doesn't make a dish because he doesn't want to have. He doesn't want to make dishes, so I'll just eat a loose hot dog in his glasses. That's how you know Phil's hungover, if he's wearing his glasses.
Do you savor them, or does it just go right down?
Oh, I savor.
So
I
it's
love
like,
hot dogs.
How
They're
long
good.
are you standing at the sink?
Not very long.
Oh, okay.
Now, Phil also does not have discerning taste. So if you said, I'm going to throw away this package of hot dogs I've had in my freezer for about 5 years, Phil would go, okay, I'll take them.
Yeah. We just took some of Scotch's old food from his cupboard. It was Britta. Scotch was like, hey, it's for you and Britta.
Okay,
And,
I literally, before you got there, said I don't want it, Scotch, but Phil.
I remember my mom having a bunch of stuff and like giving you food at one point, because she's like, Phil, do you want this clam juice and pie filling? And it was like, yeah, okay. You never know.
I did give myself food poisoning though just recently, so I think I need to do a little better at.
Was it the clam juice?
No, it was bacon grease.
Or you like,
how much?
oh, I think this bacon grease is still good.
I couldn't remember when I used it. I used it to fry up some eggs, and I was like, "It's bacon grease. Yeah, I'll just use it."
Maybe you should like dip a loose hot dog in it.
No.
So
I'm gonna be better about that.
Phil and I also spent a few years at a very large country western music festival, and
Yes.
we saw some shit while we were out there.
The
It's as if
Gazelle
it was
Man.
like if we had all gotten together to have a festival, it would have been like that.
Oh yeah, totally messed up the whole time.
Yeah.
Phil became my number 2 out there because, first of all, it takes a lot to phase Phil. It takes a lot to frustrate him. It takes a lot to really get. I mean, look at him. He's sitting up here. He's all smiley, and here I am calling him a total loser.
I'm
And
wearing a Smashing Pumpkins shirt.
I'm just happy to be here.
And I've had to pee for about a half an hour, and I
Oh.
haven't moved to do that yet.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Applause.
Thank you, everybody.
So, Phil, I want to ask you, what is the most messed up story that you remember from our years at that country western festival that I don't want to name because they might sue?
Messed up like that
Yeah.
I've experienced,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
well, probably the most messed up thing was I managed the employee campground, which is like kind of a easy campground.
No, it's not. Those people are the worst.
They were nice to me.
The employees are the ones who think they can get away with
That's
anything.
very true. And I actually had a death in my campground.
Whoa.
I did. It was not drug related. It wasn't alcohol related. It was just a fluke thing.
Guy's heart just gave out.
Yeah, his heart just gave out. And I was just hanging out in the booth and everything.
Did you
and
guys
all
call
of a sudden,
Alex?
We did not. We had to call a county
Do you
coroner.
guys like
Yeah.
do pickups at Wii party?
Do
Group fest?
they do pickups? Like, oh, we got a list. We got a locksmith. We got someone who handles refrigerant, and and
Let
we
me
also
look in the handbook here. But yeah, I was just hanging out at the booth doing stuff and taking care of stuff, and then there was a scream, and then I saw somebody kind of run out of a camper, and then one of my employees rushed in, and after I found out what it was, I got on the radio and I was like, "Hey JJ, are you available?" And he said, "You were in a nearby campground," and so I was like, "Can I call you on the phone?" You're like, "I'll just be right over." And yeah,
Phil kept it cool the whole time because you're talking through a radio system that hundreds of other people can monitor at the same time. And Phil kept it so cool and calm so that the first time he said, "Hey, could you come on over to Valley?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll get there eventually." Okay.
But I
And-
suppose when I said, "Can I call you?" you were probably like,
You don't know how to do it. Jill knows how to do it, to like layer the meaning in the words that you're saying underneath what I really mean. No, JJ, can you really get over here right
And
now?
I also feel like you were probably fed up with what you were dealing with. That you're like, you know what? I'll go visit Phil.
Yeah, because you're fed. You go from being fed up with one thing to another. There.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of really messed up stuff, but in the campground adjacent to Phil's one morning, my shift would start at 6 a.m., and I was in charge of this whole thing from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. 30,000 campers. I ran for mayor of Fargo and lost, but I was mayor of that campgrounds and that, so that was all right instead. And so in fact, later on, Kevin Kennedy, I made him the manager of this campground, knowing that you're going to deal with some stuff. And so it's 6 a.m. and I'm driving in my little golf cart, and that's the best time because everything's quiet and people are kind of waking up and going, "Where am I right now?" And as I'm kind of putzing along in my little golf cart, someone stops me, runs into the middle of this little path and says, "Stop, stop, 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 stop. You got to kick these people out. You got to kick them out right now." And I said, "Whoa, what's going on? Tell me what's going on." They're like, "They shit in our grill." And I said, "Okay, hold on. I got to see this." So I went over, and so there's an argument between two campgrounds that are right next to, or two campsites that are right next to each other. And apparently the day previous, someone had tried to steal a cooler from campground A. And so campground B thought that this was retaliation for one of their people thinking that this was a cooler and they walked away with. And so they open this little tiny crappy grill, and sure enough, literally crappy, right there is the poop right on top. Now here's the thing. Think of when you think about a grill.
Hold on. Okay.
I feel like that toilet really has to work. That was quite a turd in there.
So it's not like it's easy. When you think about it, it's not easy. It's maybe like if the grill was on the ground, it would be easy because it was perfect. This poop. It was perfect. It's not like someone pooped it, picked it up, and put it on there. It's like they pooped it right onto the grill itself. And when
Was
you
that
think
your
about
first observation? Like, oh, that's perfect.
It was
That
because
looks great.
Because I
What's
thought,
the problem?
Did 3 people lift up their friend and then like kind of held their friend while this happened? Because I don't want to know the why. I'm more interested in the how.
I mean, maybe they did it like on a frying pan and then just like tipped it over on the inside of it.
I don't think so. I think that would have taken too much effort. So it turns out like these guys, I calm them down. It takes about 45 minutes because nothing ever happens fast at this festival. And I finally get them calmed down. And they said, okay, well, don't worry. You can use our grill for the next couple of days. Don't worry about it. Kevin Kennedy is showing me a picture of a guy dressed up in that Borat swimsuit. That's only the two lines leading down to, what would you call that, Tucker?
His dick?
I was thinking like a banana hammock.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the piece of
That
clothing.
was at this music festival also.
It was
nice memory.
Yeah, they ended up becoming like friends. Like this poop on the grill ended up making these 2 complete strangers friends.
They probably still go to this festival and was like, hey, remember when somebody pooped in
They
there?
probably made T-shirts about it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, remember the time?
Like, oh, your nickname's Weber and my nickname's Coleman. And so, Kevin, do you remember also the day I pulled up and I said, well, what are you guys doing up here on the hill? And he goes, well, there's a guy and a girl and they're getting it on in that tent over there. And they keep letting the flap open so that people can watch. And I keep having to tell them, you guys got to close the flap. Their families walking around here. Close the flap. And he talked about a grin. Kevin employed his son that summer too. And John had this big grin on his face the whole time. He was having a wonderful experience. 17 at the time.
He grew up
What a
quick.
good parent to bring him out there. Well done. But Phil, you're one of the best people ever. And
Well, thank you.
I have invited you on this podcast so many times, and you never ask why. You just show up, and you're a part of it, and you're a listener favorite. People like listening to your stories. And I also think that your episode is the most downloaded episode by teenagers.
That's because I work at a school.
And you relate well to teenagers.
I suppose I do.
Do you, in fact,
They know that I love the Foo Fighters.
They do. I want to have Phil on an upcoming episode where it's all about Tiger Beat magazine.
Tiger Beat magazine? Like, is this a form of beat, like something that you harvest?
Oh,
or is it more tiger
It's going to be
related?
great. You're going to love it.
Okay,
You're going to have a great time. Well, gosh, I think that brings us to the end of our 100th episode.
I'm
going to
do what JJ did. Phil, we're done with you now.
Phil,
great.
get out of here. Beat it, Phil.
Thank you.
So,
One
Tucker,
hundo.
100 episodes.
Hundo.
We've done it.
Yeah, let's quit. Done. Let's
we're just
not
retire.
do any more
retire
ever.
on top.
No.
Thank you guys so much for coming out for this thing. We hope you had a good time. There's a lot of fruit and vegetables left, so if you've got, like a purse, feel free to take some with you.
But also though, I think we would also JJ and I would just like to say thank you to all of you. Most of you were previous guests on the show, and thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. And we're gonna do another 100 episodes, and maybe another 100 after that.
Yeah, you guys will all. We want to get Stephen Tobolowsky on our 200th episode. So Brent Brandt's going to be my connection to Tobo.
Brent.
And so when we hopefully bring him back to Fargo for that one, you guys can all come to that too because he's really impressive. Oh, and Katie from the Gastropub is actually putting out a bunch of to-go containers, so you don't have to stick them in your purse. So enjoy that. I don't see any cups for ranch, though, Katie.
I know
If
that look.
looks could kill.
Yep.
You guys, that does it for this episode of JJ Meets World. Big thank you to my producer, Tucker Lucas. You can find him on the interwebs at, what's your website again?
Moonbase Maria.
Moonbasemaria.com. You can find your host with the most at linebenders.com. And big thanks to Natalie Deutsch of Hatch Realty, who is our sponsor for this and all episodes until she stops sponsoring it.
Thank you, guys.